And this will be a 3-part series, depending on how this goes, I guess. It's another one of those, like last year we did the top, whatever it was, wrestlers, underrated, who should have gotten the WWE title or the Intercontinental title. So, today we're going to go through the top, I think it was 23. I think it was top 23 wrestlers.
Top 325-ish tag teams that were well established as a tag team, were great in the ring, over with the fans and the popular tag team, just never really got a shot at the tag titles.
No. Now this is going to be strictly WWE based, which they're supposedly the bigger company.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these are basically... And some of these tag teams I've never heard of myself. I had talked to you about them, and you said you don't really think you know either. But
yeah, there's one particular tag team on the list that I'd say is probably from like
the 70s.
Yeah, the 70s, maybe the 60s.
Yeah, when I looked them up, they actually, from what I saw, was the 70s. And like to the early 90s, but we'll get to those guys. So who's first on our list?
First up, we got the Bushwhackers.
And
now these guys were a hell of a tag team. They were very over with the fans in WWE during the 90s, and everybody loved them. They had great chemistry together in the ring. The vignettes they did were hilarious.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess WWE just didn't see them as tag material, I guess. Yeah. Although even if you look back at before they came to WWE and look at like, St. Louis territory and Sam Musnick's promotion, or
wasn't it Mid-South Wrestling? No.
No, it was Wrestling from St. Louis or something like that. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is, before they came to WWE, they
were known as the Sheepherders.
Well, yes, but they were known mainly for, like, a more hardcore style.
Oh, wow.
And they're in than when you saw them in WWE. Like, WWE, they were mostly, like, they were a good tag team in the ring, but it seemed like they were mostly for, like, comedy purposes.
Yeah. We watched a lot of the vignettes, and, you know, they would be acting goofy and crazy and all that kind of stuff, but they never really got their due. I'm pretty sure they had title matches, but
yeah,
they've never really... I mean, it's so ridiculous that Bushwhacker Luke lasted all but a minute in the Royal Rumble, so...
Yeah.
But these guys were inducted into the Hall of Fame, and...
Yes.
I mean, should they have gotten their due? Of course, but where would they go from, like... if they want to take titles, where would they go from there? Like, I don't...
Yeah.
know if at the time they would have been taken as serious as they would have. I don't know. I like, it's kind of weird because they're kind of that kid-friendly style that the WWE was known for back then.
And you know, even if you look at the Bushwhackers' career in WWE, they had great matches, but it seemed to be probably their biggest rivalry and maybe longer feud was with the Beverly Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that.
Well, my viewpoint of it anyway.
Yeah. Because
they wrestled a bunch of different tag teams, but they never really, I guess, had a overly long feud with any particular tag team or tag teams
no.
to warrant them being tag champs or getting to the tag titles by any means.
Well, no, I just think it's weird because like I said, many times I've watched wrestling since late '92, so I don't remember. Like the Bushwhackers were already gone, so I mean that's kind of where that is. And I watched tapes of them. My older brother would imitate them, so as soon as I saw tapes of them and their awesome music, and it was great. And,
Oi, cousin!
yay!
The only thing that really kind of understood but never really quite got behind was the whole licking thing.
Yeah, well, again, that was probably one of the personas that I don't know if fans wanted it necessarily, but it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's not to say they want to take team champions elsewhere.
Right.
I guess didn't look it up better, but
Yeah.
I do know they were the Sheepherders.
Yes.
I have to watch more of their matches actually.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you were to find matches from early on in their career, you'll see probably like the more hardcore
Yeah,
style.
Anyways,
So next up we got the Killer Bees, B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzo. Again, another great tag team. Well, one was been around for quite a while. The other was athletic and into the, well, they both were into the high flying. They used with a whole bunch of different tag teams. I just don't know why they weren't tag team champs. They were awesome together. And the thing that I guess made their partnership unique was, okay, yeah, had the boots and everything, but I'd say probably 2, maybe 3 years into their partnership, when they were in a match, one or both of them would go outside the ring, go under the apron, and then they both come back out and they both be wearing a mask.
yeah,
So it was evolving the character by adding to it.
right. And I used to look at my brother's magazines right before I got into watching it,
Yeah.
and I don't remember seeing the Killer Bees in the magazines, but maybe they were there. I just didn't look hard enough. When I was in high school, I knew a friend that was older than me that told me all about them. And I didn't exactly know who they were. I kind of had it in my head who they were,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, they had lots of tag teams that could have had, matches supposed to get the titles.
Oh, yeah.
The British Bulldogs,
Right.
we had the Heart Foundation, and maybe even Demolition.
Demolition, or I don't think they were around. I was going to say the Orient Express, but I don't think the Killer Bees were around at the
Yeah.
time of the Orient Express. Maybe even Warlord and the Barbarian,
Yeah,
or there's tag teams
yes.
from that era.
So, it is a shame, but I mean, it is what it is.
And you look at B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzo. B. Brian Blair was slender. He had the long curly hair. He was in fairly good shape. You look at Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, he was more of the stocky. He was the broader of the two. Like, he wasn't overweight, but he wasn't, as like, he was in shape, but he wasn't in shape to the caliber of Big Brian Blair.
Like he was the powerhouse, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially.
So they're a good tag team.
And it's interesting because you go back to before Jumpin' Jim Brunzell was partnered with B. Brian Blair. It was in the AWA. Jumpin' Jim Brunzell was partnered with Greg Gagne.
Yeah.
They were a tag team. They were amazing together as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. AWA, that's a very, very good stable. I should have looked up wrestlers there that could have went to WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, there were, but tag team wise.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of funny why Killer Bees aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure probably be able to get in contact with Brunzell. I don't really know about Brian.
Yeah.
But,
Underrated tag team should have been tag team champions.
Most definitely. Next up, we've got Power and Glory, the team of the Warlord and Pretty Paul Roma.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's just, like, the Warlord's always been a great wrestler, a great powerhouse, and you'll see that later on. But, yeah, even with Paul Roma, what a match.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of an interesting. And Paul Roma, even though he wasn't a champion himself in the singles ring, he was a pretty good wrestler.
Well, yeah, he ended up partnered with, like, several different people. I mean, he was with the Warlord. He was a member of the Four Horsemen in the later years. He was even partnered with Paul Orndorff. They were called Pretty Wonderful. Like, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, when I remember when I first saw WrestleMania 7, it was the Warlord versus the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. And with the exception of, oh my god, there's a dog in the ring. Warlord looked like a cartoon character.
You gotta do that. I'll say 6'5", 6'6". Pushing 330, I'll say. Built like a brick outhouse. And it didn't seem like the Warlord would be much of a wrestler, but he was pretty damn good.
Oh yeah. That's another one that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Warlord, yeah.
Yeah, but and it's just like, there's no reason why he couldn't have had a feud with Hogan.
True.
Or even Savage, let's say.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they didn't really do a lot with him, unfortunately. But, and that's a shame, because even Paul Roma. But, again, he went to WCW.
Yes. So, the tag team we were talking about earlier is a tag team called the Fabulous Kangaroo.
Oh, yeah.
Now, neither myself or Matt know anything about these guys. What wrestling promotion they were with, I'm sure what territory they were in, whatever. So, I just thought of this. If any of you guys out there know who the Fabulous Kangaroos are, have heard of them, are familiar with them, and can give us information about them, comment on the video below and just, educate a couple of guys that are are fairly knowledgeable about wrestling, but never hurts to learn a thing or two.
Well, and the thing is, when I looked them up, there was tons of stuff. It's just, from the 60s onward to like, I think the last time would have been 91.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were pretty much there for a long time. It's just, I've never heard of them. I saw them on a website.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, this is kind of like, would have been good. And they weren't in WWF. So it would have been good to see them in the WWF. I mean, the name is silly, but that's kind of what they were going for back then.
Well, I'm wondering if these guys were like from Australia or maybe New Zealand.
No, they're definitely from Australia.
Because, the name Kangaroo.
Yeah.
But kind of is a little indication of where they might be from. And the name might also coincide with what their in-ring capability was like.
Yeah. Like, I tried to watch a match. I just skimmed through it for some stupid reason, but yeah, they were very good in the ring, I'll say that much.
I will say, when I saw the picture of them, and the list you sent me when we came up with the idea to do this, they sort of reminded me of the Blackjacks.
Yes.
The black kind of cowboy hats, the black vest, the black chaps, I guess, if you will, the mustaches.
Well, actually, anyways, yeah. But no, it was very cool seeing one of the guys wearing an authentic Australian type hat.
Yes.
Just kind of, I kind of wish I would have saw more of it. I kind of wish that they went to the WWF at the time. But, that being said, they were very popular in the 60s onward to like 90 or 91.
Yeah.
So,
early 90s.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of something I had to check into a lot more.
Yeah.
But, anyways.
We go on now to the Fabulous Ones.
Yeah, the Fabulous Ones. Again, I don't know too much about them. I do know that from looking at what I found, they did have a match with the Road Warriors. So they obviously wrestled in Mid-South Wrestling.
Right.
And NWA maybe. I'm trying to figure that out. But they did have a match with the Road Warriors for the tag team titles of another organization.
Yeah.
And I'll put the name below, I'm sure. But I think it was Mid-South Wrestling. Another tag team, and I believe Stan Lane was in there too. So, obviously we all know who he is. But other than that, not really sure. Not really. I've seen a match of either of those.
Yeah.
But
this is a interesting pairing because they weren't they were good as a team, but it just didn't seem like it would have been nice if it had lasted a little longer, but they went with it. They did what they did with it. It was good. But the last one was Mega Powers.
oh, the Mega Powers. That's right, man. Nope. Okay. So
Wow. I'm not exactly sure what you're going for with that one.
No, the handshake that they used to do.
Oh.
But yeah, you know what?
It was kind of like the slow.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just the fact that these two were a good tag team together. Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Were faces at the time.
Yes.
They were both looking for the WWF title. Miss Elizabeth was married to Randy Savage,
Yes,
and for some reason there was a little love triangle. You look and shoot interviews on YouTube, no matter who you're listening to. There was some controversy with Hogan and Savage about Miss Elizabeth, which is kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah, I had heard. I forget it was just. I forget if it was on a DVD or it was a shoot interview or something. That it might have been a DVD, but Randy isolated Elizabeth from pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was like he was mentally the kind of husband where, you know, somebody looked at her and, you know, somebody talked to her or anything like that, and he would just kind of go into like, you know, overprotective mode
Yeah.
or something, but
Yeah, and that's basically how it was. Like, he would shut Elizabeth out,
yeah,
put her in her own locker room.
yeah.
You know, was the guy that didn't want anyone to talk to Elizabeth. But yeah, he was a great guy somehow.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, when you got a drop dead gorgeous woman like Elizabeth, who the fuck wouldn't protect her?
and you know, when you look at the shoot interview I saw years later, after he died,
Yeah.
and it was the Warrior. Now he could have taken Warrior's words with a grain of salt, but he's going on about how, yeah, he was a big jackass, and you know, Hogan and Linda wanted to be friends with them, and
Right.
they were, I guess, yeah, you know, not very friendly, and they stopped talking for a long time. But I just heard recently that, yeah, you know what, Hogan and Savage did have a, you know,
Beef.
they did have beef, but they also made up, you know,
Yeah.
a few years before, unfortunately, Randy died.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's another guy, too, that he's the main reason why I got into professional wrestling. He had that high-flying, brawling
Oh, yeah.
charisma.
Randy could do it all. He could go in the ring, he could come off the top rope and
Oh, yeah.
hit you with the elbow drop or a double axe handle. He could take it outside of the ring.
And flamboyant, oh my god.
Oh.
And that's what you need. And, you know, if you're a showman, is to be that way. But with Hogan as well, I mean, I was never a Hulkamaniac, but I can't deny that he was, you know, like John Cena is today with the children
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, this was a good feud. Obviously, they would meet up again in WCW.
Yes.
And they would join NWO and all that kind of stuff. They'd probably feud for the world title, but
Well, Randy and Hulk kind of partnered up together before the NWO, and then, or was that afterwards? Anyways, I know, like, okay, yes, Hogan and Savage were in the NWO together, and then they were also partners with each other. I think it was before the NWO, and then Hogan was third man. The NWO was formed, they ran off and run, and then eventually Randy joined the NWO with Elizabeth, of course. But yeah, there were two guys that were amazing together in the ring. It was just, I think, Destiny wanted them to be solo singles competitors and vie for whether it be the WWE World Championship or the WCW World Championship. Now, I do believe that Randy and Hulk got the world title I was gonna say in the NWO, but I don't think it was. I think it was outside the NWO. I think Hulk was first, and then once Randy came into WCW, Randy won it a little while later. But
Yeah, that's true.
they both did end up with the WCW. Well, they both ended up with the WWE Heavyweight Championship, of course. It was some time apart, but
And you know, it's kind of interesting. I thought about it today. If they happened to be tag team champions, Randy Savage would have been a Triple Crown.
oh, for sure.
Blows me away. But it is what it is, you know. It's a shame that he's no longer with us, but
Yeah.
yeah, a tag team that definitely should have been a tag team champions, but well, you know, I guess they needed some for us, maybe 5.
Yeah, I guess. We got another mega tag team, maybe not as mega as Hulk and Randy, but still nonetheless we got the Mega Maniacs.
Yep. So, back in 93, when Monday Night Raw hit, who should come back? Hulk Hogan. So what happens? Hulk Hogan brings out a freshly bandaged Brutus Barber Beefcake.
Yeah.
He just had a boarding accident a while back. He comes back, and I don't remember watching lead up to WrestleMania 9 that much, but yeah, basically that's kind of was the match. That was and for the tag team titles, Money Incorporated versus the Megalomaniacs, and it was wasted. I mean, when I saw that, rather than Hogan winning the title, that should have went to Bret Hart. No, actually, should have went to Yokozuna. Oh my God! But no, we gotta go back. We gotta, you know, I harp on this a lot because it was the fucking baddest decision-making ever. Now, Hulk Hogan is a piece of shit for even going in there and trying to challenge Yokozuna for the title at WrestleMania 9 after his match with Bret Hart. He beat Bret Hart fair and square, but no, I'm the Hulkster, and so I gotta go in and I gotta win the belt for the kids. Instead, you should have been tag team champions with the fucking Beefcake. And, you know, it's years later that he's tag team champion. So we go on to now the NWO.
Yeah.
A tag team that came back, and I mean, famous tag team in WCW.
Oh, yeah.
Well, more than that, they had a lot
Yeah.
of guys. And they came to WWE. You had the originals, Hogan, Hall, and Nash.
Yep.
And the problem is, you know, you got these guys who should have been tag team champions at some point. Which is understandably why they weren't, because Scott Hall was the guy who had a lot of drug issues and alcoholics.
Yeah.
Then you have Kevin Nash, who actually was a tag team champion with Shawn Michaels,
Right.
but tore his quad doing the stupidest thing ever, but
Well, the most simple thing ever. He was
yeah.
just trying to make a tag, and when he stepped forward, bye-bye.
Yep. That has to suck, man.
Oh, no kidding.
Jesus Christ. But anyways, yeah, so yeah, no, it's very interesting because these guys were tag team champions as the outsiders in WCW, and unfortunately they just didn't get it in WWE.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been cool, but, you know, things ended up going the way they went, and yeah. Unfortunate, but, you know, what are you gonna do?
Shit happens, man.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you got later on Booker T, Big Show, who was also an original NWO member, you know, X-Pac coming back and being a member, and Shawn Michaels, I guess. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think that Hogan being the guy to have his spotlight in the Rock Hogan match,
Yeah.
the icon versus icon match, which was great, you know. But, you know, didn't leave Hall and Nash anywhere.
No, not really. I mean, they kind of disbanded the NWO and had Hulk go on his own and kind of have Scott and Kev go on their own. Of course, that's when kind of the shit hit the fan, as the old saying goes. But, you know,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
yeah. But this is part 1 of our video, and we will be doing part 2 shortly. So, talk to you soon.